Hello, Bhuvna.
Hi, Melinda.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. And before going to start your session, I want to introduce you to our audience.
Okay.
Uh, Bhuvana Sundar is an accomplished technology professional specializing in enterprise software engineering, Oracle technologies, database management, and digital transformation. With extensive experience in the information technology industry, Bhuvana has contributed to the design, development, implementation, and optimization of enterprise scale software solutions that support organizational efficiency and business innovation. That was an interesting bio, Bhuvna, and the stage is all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. So, before I begin, before I talk about leadership, before I talk about transformation, I'm inviting you into a quiet moment, not with the chat window, not with your phones, not definitely with the next meetings awaiting in your calendars, but just with yourself. I want you to imagine a little girl. Maybe she's 8, 10, or 12. She's wearing a school uniform, carrying the school bags. She does not know what leadership means. She does not know what success will look like. She does not know what confidence, expectations, responsibility, and transformation will mean one day. But she knows something that she wants to become someone meaningful, someone strong, someone who can make a difference. Now, I want you to imagine your own younger self, that girl who dreamed before fear became louder, the girl who believed before life became complicated. And I want to ask two questions. Would she recognize the woman you are today? And perhaps a deeper question, would she still recognize the dreams you are carrying today? And today, it's not about a keynote session, it's about a pass to remember, a pass to reflect, a pass to acknowledge the light. And I call that as the light within, a journey from roots to rising. I hope in this session we experience three things together: to be inspired, to be empowered, and to be sustained. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joined from different parts of the world. Wherever you are joining, from your office, from your home, or from meeting room, or a space between your responsibilities, thank you for being here. And thank you for taking up the space. Because today, the world we live in, space is not something easy to find. We run from one meeting to another, one deadline to another, one responsibility to another, one expectation to another. And without knowing ourselves, we became too busy showing up for everyone to show up for ourselves. And today, in this session, I want you to pause, a pause to look within, a pause to look back, and a pause to acknowledge what lied within me is waiting to be acknowledged. And look at this tree. The transformation as a big tree didn't happen in one day. If you look into this, it would have formed through many years, and it started with its roots. And so every human's journey. And when we think about transformation, for a personal transformation, it will not happen from a moment that we inspire. It happens when the inspiration became courage and courage becomes a way of living. And what's my story? Yes, Bhuvan's story from roots to rising. If I had to summarize This in a three simple words, I would say learn, live, and lead. But if I look into the reality, it does not look like how simple it sounds here. When I look at my roots, I could think of people, education, culture, and the questions what's been told, what's been asked, and through sacrifices, through experiences, etc. And one question that still lingered in my childhood was the society was posting the question to my parents what difference it would make a girl's child being educated anyways. I was carrying these kind of a questions along with my school bags. And somewhere I thought how I'm going to survive in this world and how I'm going to make my family proud in this world that is constantly posting these kind of a questions. And then realized, I thought, okay, let me explore this. And I decided to explore this through education. Yes, education was one of my strongest root. And I'm grateful for all my teachers, parents, and the believers who believed in me before even I knew what the world would looks like. And when I look into this education, I decided that yes, education would give me the answer. So I scored marks, I pursued my degrees, I pursued my titles, and I pursued my job, etc., etc. And it was keep on pursuing. And at one point, I felt again the same question: how would or what would the education makes a difference in a girl's life? Yes, at that point, it helped me to survive with the questions the society has posted me in. But still, did it give me the meaningful answer? Then I thought, okay, let me explore it. And that's where my learn started. And when I look back now, learn for me stands. Listen to the voices that shaped you or that shaped me and explore the beliefs that you have observed. Check if those beliefs are limiting you or empowering you, and apply the lessons that helped you to grow. Because without applying the lessons, education meant will be only in papers. And reflect on what serves still. Because until and unless we reflect, we will not get into the path of growing. And nurture the parts of yourself that is still becoming. Because until and unless we do all this five, education or learning will not make sense. And here, I just want to ask few questions to the audience here. If you remember, and if you had to describe your roots in one way, what would that be? Melinda, could you help me in showing up the chat responses? Home. Yes, that's wonderful. And that is the first and foremost thing every human think when we think about our roots. It starts from there. Wonderful insight, Molly. But even if you're not able to answer this at the same time, at this time, that's fine. I mean, because we need, we forgot to take time for ourselves and to remember our roots. Because when we look into our roots, And when we learn from our roots, we understand our life. Because learning is not only about information or collecting the degrees, it's more about creating awareness. And when we are aware of what we wanted to share to this world, that's where the transformation begins. And look into this tree again. And when I grew up, the life happened, the experiences, the expectations became more, the responsibilities became more, and the pressure that I thought I need to prove in this world or establish my identity has become more. And so the tree grows through its trunk. The trunk survives all four seasons. And when we live, we forgot to, I mean, the root, whatever we have gone through, that connects to how we are going to live and who we are. And that brings the second part of my word, the three L's that I wanted to say. But before that, I just wanted to have one reflection from all of you. I'll post you a few questions or few words here. Uh, if you could see which one feels most familiar, always be strong, always be available, always be perfect, always carry everything. Uh, are you able to relate to any one of or all four? If you could relate all these four, then welcome to the club. Because is society or the pressure as we live through, uh, it always expects us, yes, she is so dependable, she's so strong, and it comes with the praises. Yes, the praises are good, and it starts with creating validating, and it also starts that yes, I'm able to establish myself and I'm always strong, and I can always carry everything. But sometimes we doesn't know those kind of a prizes will quietly put pressure, and sometimes it doesn't come from outside. Sometimes I feel the pressure comes from within, and the within needs, like the pressure that we need to prove, and the fear of disappointing others, and the guilt when we rest, our discomfort in asking for help. When I look into all these things, I feel like once upon a time, I felt strength was something that I can carry everything. But later, when I had to give a moment, or I thought I'll give myself a moment, I realized that strength is not about carrying everything. Strength is about what you're letting go of that you no longer need to carry. And when I realized, that is where I came out of my golden cage. And now I want you to reflect upon, ask yourself, what golden cage I'm ready to walk out of? Or are you able to recognize the golden cage that you are in? If so, then what would be the golden cage that you will be walking out of? I'm looking into the responses. Yes, somewhere, always carry everything. Yes, obviously, that is something, it comes from the outside world. Sometimes we assume that we need to carry everything. And that's where my life or my career, which started as a developer, as Melinda was saying earlier, has evolved to develop her. First, I started how I could transform or how I could develop myself. And that's where I had got the greatest gifts of my life. I would say that as coaching. And especially when the coaching comes in, it doesn't give the answers outside, and it helps you to find your own answers. And that's where my coach stood out for me and asked the question, what if Your value was never come from what you carry, and instead, what your value comes from who you are. And that gave me a deepest reflection. And I thought I'll be able to answer them immediately as like how I used to answer my exam papers. But I didn't have answer. Yes, I need to reflect upon, I need to pause, and that helped me to got something deeper. And that's where I thought I need to live my life. And for me, living is nothing but first love yourself beyond achievements, beyond titles. Love who you are and integrate every lessons, even the painful ones. Because sometimes we are good at being judged for others' mistakes and advocates for our own. But here I changed the role. I wanted to be a judge, or I wanted to integrate every lessons, but with kindness. And hold a vision that is bigger than your current challenge. Yes, I was holding a vision that I want to become a coach that time. And I evolved beyond what I built just to survive. So that's where I started living. And when I started living, that's where I started to reclaim my life. So here, I want to ask a few questions here. Who are you when you are not performing, achieving, helping, or fixing or carrying anything? Who are you? I would love to get your reflections in the chat. Yes, I see a question here. What does the light within symbolize in your personal journey? Yes, Cecily, I would like to hold this answer at the end of the session. And definitely, I would say yes, Molly, I love your answer. I'm a child of the universe. Yes, that's a great thing. That's form your identity. And that's who you were when you are not performing, achieving, or carrying anything. And perhaps I would like to ask another question. What are you carrying today that you no longer need to carry? Maybe it could be your, yes, wonderful emotion of this. Definitely. And for me, when this question had come into my life through my coach, then I thought, yes, the expectations from others and the expectations that I thought or my need that I need to prove to everyone. I stopped carrying from there. And when we live through what I have mentioned, that is where we reclaim our light. And when we reclaim our light, something beautiful happens. And look at this tree again. It had bloomed, and when it's spreaded with the branches, it does not create meaning for itself. It also create meaning for others. Others to give shade, others to give fruits, and also to birds as well here, as you see in the picture, right? And that's how, for me, coaching has taught something beautiful. Because sometimes we think our roots were not strong and we are not enough through the life that we are carrying it. And something in the through coaching, I found that Not most of the people need fixing. Not most of the people need, or not most of the people are broken. Instead, all they need is they need to remember who they are. They just need to remember their strengths. They just need to remember their voices. They need to remember their confidence or courage. And they need to remember what is possible. And leadership is not about when someone gives you a perfect advice. And not all the people, or the transformation never happens for all the people when they got a perfect advice from someone. The transformation really happens when they saw something beyond, or someone could show you the light, what they could not see themselves at that point of time. And that changed my understanding of leadership. And for me, leadership is something different. And leadership that I believe in, we need to listen deeply to our own voices and also to others, and empower generously, align your values with your actions, and deliver not only results but trust, hope, and possibilities. Because leadership is not something that we need to have all answers. It's something that it's the space that we need to give to the people to see themselves or find their own answers. And sometimes leadership looks like a guidance. Sometimes leadership looks like encouragement. Sometimes leadership looks like asking one honest question. Sometimes leaderships look like holding the mirror and ask them to, or empower them to see what they could not see beyond in their themselves in their current situation. And that's where when the women leadership is not only personal, I see that as something powerful. Because when we rise with awareness, we create room for others. And when we stop apologizing for our own life, we give courage to others to stop dimming their life. And when we set boundaries, we make the boundaries normal. And when we ask for help, we make vulnerability more safer. And when we lead with authenticity, we make leadership more human. And when we shine our light, we radiate the light for others as well. And here, one reflection question I want you to think of: what part of your journey is already lighting the way for others, even if you haven't noticed? I would like to see your reflections in the chat window. And even if you could not answer this in this chat, I want you to carry these questions beyond this session today, because it's not only about inspiration, it's about empowering your own self and sustaining the light beyond today's session, right? When we lead, we radiate our light to drive out various darkness in this society. And definitely, it's all about you. And when someone has asked me the question, what is something your journey has taught? Yes, I was looking at the young girl with a lot of questions and with a lot of doubt How am I going to serve in this world? And at the time, my only hope was education, and that had given me one thing was learning. So I started to learn. And when I redefined the learning, or when I started to consciously learn, live, and lead, my life moved from surviving to thriving. And that's where I'm here today as a coach. And I want you to take, or I want all the women who are all presenting here to remember the woman who is rising. Learn from your roots, live through your storms, lead with your light. And that's how my life journey has been evolved. And I want to have a commitment from all of us present here. Before we occupy with what's coming next in our calendar, or when the next responsibility or the expectations take up, I want you to pause and remember who you are. The girl who dreamed fearlessly, who believed the life would with some hope, and release what no longer serves you. Even it could be expectation from others or even your own golden cage. Release it and protect, nurture, and share your light, not only for yourself and also for others. And this is how the little girl in me evolved, the holding the light within, with the hope that I could be able to give the answers to the society who posted the questions in my childhood. What would education makes a woman's life different? So here I am. So let's acknowledge the light within us, not only to ignite our personal transformation and also for a collective transformation for the humanity and our future generations. And together we rise. Thank you. So, uh, Melinda, will you be here to help me with the question and answers? So,
Yeah, Bhuvna, thank you so much for your valuable time and your presentation. We have got a lot of questions from the audience too.
I love to answer.
Yeah. Shall I ask one of them?
Yes, please.
Um, what is the most important lesson your journey has taught you?
My journey has taught me was whatever that you wanted to achieve, sometimes we seek inspiration from outside and sometimes we try to admire people from outside. But over the years, I uh, found my own. Whatever the quality that I was looking outside, the authenticity I looked from a leader, it was within me. The kindness I was looking outside the world, that was within me. And the courage that I was looking outside, that was within me. One thing was, I didn't give enough attention or I didn't listen to that voice which was whispering in the world full of noise. So when I started listening to that voice, that had helped me to find my light within, and that's how my journey has started.
Yeah, amazing answer. And thank you so much for your valuable time today, Bhuvna. And please be on the backstage and join the next session.
I Yeah, sure, and I see here there are a lot of questions here from
Yeah,
the audience. Is it
we
something I
will.
can chat through chat? I can answer them.
Yeah. Also, we will post that questions to your email so you can
Sure.
also respond there.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you for being here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.